Good morning, everyone present, and to the viewing public. It is now 10:22 a.m. with 8 members present. We have hereby established a quorum to conduct today's meeting. For the members joining us this morning, to my left, we have Representative Marissa Flores. To her left, we have Blas Jonathan Atto. To his left, we have Elias Rangamore. And to his left, we have Representative Joseph Flores. And Senator, you want to?
This is Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having this joint meeting with the PUTC Committee of the Senate. I wish to also, before I formally introduce the members, I wish to recognize our hardworking mayor from Saipan, Mayor RB Komatsu. Thanks for joining us. Secretary Ray Yumu from Department of Public Works. Thank you for coming here, sir. So with that, following the props, Mr. Chairman, I do have with us in the Senate side, we do have Senator Francisco Q. Cruz, Senator Manny Gregory Castro, and Senator Corina Magofnia. So we do have the numbers to effectuate a quorum from the Senate. And I'll be remiss if I don't also recognize the members of the LB support staff that have accompanying the PUTC of the Senate. We have the counsel for PUTC, Anthony Villagomez, and also to my right, the gentleman there, Mr. Devin Macaranas. Mr. Chairman, if I may, can I just introduce the other? Yeah. And sitting here, the legal counsels, Mr. Joseph Hallahan and Joe Tahiron, legal counsel for the House, and assisting us, ensuring that the public are able to view this program this morning. Mr. Jonathan, I'm sorry, Mr. Komatsu, Devin Komatsu, taking care of the IT side, and Jonathan De Leon Guerrero is the Sergeant at Arms, assisting us. And if I apologize for my ignorance, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, the gentleman and the gentle lady. I believe they are fairly new in the legislature. Can you just introduce me?
Please introduce yourself because even I don't.
Camille Masalungan and Neighbor Balaman, and your legislative assistants. Okay. Well, welcome, and we apologize truly. Welcome to the legislature. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield the floor back to you, since we have already constituted a quorum to conduct this joint committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Huff Snyder. With that being said, we are ready to conduct today's committee meeting. Can I please get a motion to adopt today's agenda? Motion has been offered and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with the members under miscellaneous, I do want to mention a couple of comments, as derived from the informational hearing that we conducted in the Senate about a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago. So if that's okay with the members, I'll go ahead and make mention of that before we adopt the agenda. Thank you.
Any comment from the members? No objection. All right. So we can do.
Mr. Yes, sir. Okay. So go ahead.
Yes, sir.
So I think the question is to adopt the agenda, no?
Right. Yes, sir.
So all those in favor of to adopt this meeting's agenda, please say aye. And all those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The joint committee meetings agenda is hereby adopted. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, thank you, Chair. So the next item on the agenda, we will have adoption of the agenda. We have public comment. Does anyone in the gallery wish to give their public comments on any item on today's agenda? If so, please state your name and the agency you represent for the record.
Buenos dias, Mr. Chairman, the Joint Committee, Chairman Congressman Vince Adon, Chairman Jude Schneider, Senator Jude Schneider, and member of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman. I submit my written comments on the two proposed bill, was the House Bill 24-3 and the 24-2. On the 24-3, on the 10% to eliminate the 10% redistribution, the Commonwealth Utility Fund equally between the Bureau of Motor Vehicle and the Department of Public Works. I understand that the Public Works is also, doing this road shoulder cleaning. And I just want to add if also allocation on that percentage to the mayor of Saipan. I think all of you witnessed the mayor of Saipan doing all this shoulder along the road. So I want to humbly ask, to consider allocating also that funding to the mayor. A lot of people witness what the mayor's been doing. And the mayor is not just about the mayor's responsibility. The mayor's concern is about the safety of the community. So there's no such of boundary as a sitting mayor. Once I see that it's considered unsafe, I act on it. I'm more into a proactive than reactive. So this is all the things, Mr. Chairman. And I humbly again to reconsider it and allocate portion of that funding to the municipality of Saipan. The other bill, the water rate for the agriculture. All of us knows, we have these issues of inflation. And now it's about time that we have to focus on the two major resources that we have here on our island, which is the ocean and the land. I've been stressing out this thing for decades, about the water rate to the farmers, about the land rate to the farmers. Now that we have this impact that possibly might hinder us of receiving importation, for the commodities. So what are we going to be putting on the table to feed our family? That's a big question mark now. As a mayor for this municipality, I want to humbly ask each and every one, and let's all work together. Let's all work together. I don't deal politics. I deal about the life of the people here. It's a long overdue. I just want to share with you, I wrote a letter to the governor, and I haven't received a response yet. And it's already, I think, about 6 months already. And I'm still pushing the governor. What happened to that letter seeking your help? At least through executive power. If it takes time for the bill to be introduced, all those things, to exercise the executive power of giving the people to farm on the public land at $1 per acres per year. Let's put this program as a program, at least for 10 years, and we see the result. Leaders, we have a sitting market, a farmer's market here. And I was deeply involved for the creation of the farmer's market here. Why? Because it's so important. We all grew up from the farm. You might not see the hard working of our parents that guide us up, but I, for one, I was sacrificed and placed by my parents, my grandparents in the farm. So I get carried away, and I strongly believe that that's for the bread and butter of our community here. So that letter is still pending in the governor. If there's other way faster than that, similar to this water rate, let's make it, at one application. Water rate for the farmers is so essential. We need to start giving this thing out. I understand that there's a former Senator De La Cruz from Tinian. He introduced this when he was a senator, Joe De La Cruz. So it was passed for that water rate for the farmers. As a president of the Farmers Association back then, I went to CUC and I sat down with the executive director and says, RB, yes, we have that law. We have no problem to help the farmers. But our problem as CUC administrator, what subsidized that to the CUC to give the farmers on that special rate? So we're stuck on that. We're stuck on that because there's nothing that provides to CUC to deliver that according to the law. So that is where we stuck. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but I appreciate for continuing taking action to this thing. We're all now in the survival mode. We're no longer in the luxury mode. People are suffering out there. Crime is rampant out there. As a mayor, I received this direct from the people. So as a mayor, I want to hug each and every one of you. I want to work with you, not to push each other, because I'm carrying a heavy load. So again, I support these two bills. I really support this bill as a mayor, especially for the farmers. As Congressman Adon, I appreciate to allocate portion of that percentage to the mayor. You'll witness the mayor's cutting all these branches along the road, beautifying our island. It's not just the village. I work closely with the DPW secretary. We work hand in hand. I don't know, just recently, I cut this along Chalangkiza Road. I was coming down from Astalaya Friday morning. A cement mixer truck going up on the outer lane, going up to Talahio, snapped the branch. Immediately, I activated my hazard, got down from my car, and I pulled that branch. Thanks God, a vehicle behind the truck take immediate action. And thanks God, nobody got injured. So I took action immediately. We chopped that thing down with the assistance of Docomo, private company, because the mayor's not equipped with bucket truck. So I got to embrace with CUC bucket truck. I got to embrace with the Docomo because they have bucket truck. So we all working hand in hand for the safety of the people. So this is all the concerns that we have. And I'd love to share with you guys what the mayor's really facing. I know we're struggling about financial. Before I got up here, I got information. I got called early this morning. Possible. PSS contemplating to file suit because of the 25%. My response is, come on, let's all sit down. Let's all sit down. Everybody, the entire government is suffering financial. Instead of taking that, we solve this PSS. If we get this 25% to them, the central government start laying off, employees from other agencies. And that parents of that other agencies is the parents of students. So it's going to jeopardize either direction. Instead of that, let's all sit down. How can we share the pie? And how we can be creative and not to rely 100% on dollar sign figures. It can be done. It's a matter of bringing everybody together. I think that's the absence of us, the elected leaders. We haven't sit down together. That's what we need. Bring the governor, bring the legislature, bring the mayor, all the elected. Let's sit down and put on the table what are we facing. And thank you, Senator Jude, for continuing to be advocate on this farming because this is now the time to execute this. So again, I humbly ask each and everyone to please let's support this bill. It's gonna benefit our people, including us. I'm still a farmer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Does anyone else in the gallery wish to give their public comment on any items on the agenda today? Please so state your name and agency you represent for the record.
Good morning, honorable co-chairs, Congressman O'Don and Senator Hofschneider, members of both the Senate and the House. My name is Ray Yumo. I am the Secretary for the Department of Public Works, and I'm here commenting on House Bill 24-3 to eliminate the 10% distribution to the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation and to redistribute those funds equally between BMV and DPW. So, just to give you guys a little background, the program itself, 9CMC 2202 B and how the distribution of the driver's license and the I believe this is the driver's license fees that's being collected. There's also a counter part to this, which is the vehicle registration. The purpose of the funding that the Department of Public Works prioritizes with is to use the fees collected to deal with the roadside maintenance and upkeep, and also the street lights. In 2024, DPW paid out over $1 million for the year in street light billing from CUC. And CUC usually will wait on DPW for as a trigger, which I find it a little bit inefficient because, as we all know, the streetlights that are dotted across the Commonwealth, if the lights go out, it becomes a hazard to motorists and pedestrians. But the onus for CUC to fix the busted units will not occur until after the department requests for the repairs. And in some cases, a year or two would elapse and no action is taken unless my department is made aware, and then we send a letter. So CUC here in this regards already receives 10% of the driver's license and the vehicle registration fees. And in the law, it provides that they are to be responsible for the upkeep and maintenance. So then why are we paying the 10% to as a community pay for that 10% when it's already being billed to me, to the department? To give you an example, the long arm CUC charges for the fixture charge. It's billed as a fixture charge. It's a recurring charge, $11.67 for the long arm, $8.33 for the short arm, and $10.83 for the LEDs. And then on top of this monthly fixture charge, there's also a commercial energy charge. There's one for the residential, and then there's one for the commercial. We're billed on the commercial. It's for the long arm, it's $39.68. Short arm is $27.90, and the LED is $22.39. So that comes out to a total of, if it's long arms, $51.35 per month per fixture. Okay. So you do the math. And That's why we pay over $1 million. So if the fixture charge is already built in monthly, then why does CUC need to continue to collect the 10%? Okay, if there's a request for new streetlights to be installed, CUC will not install the streetlights on only until two conditions. One of two conditions is met. One is DPW, Secretary's office, myself, has to sign off that requesting for the installation, because the monthly charges will be added on to the existing billing that is already coming to my office. The other option is for the private resident to or commercial operator to say, "Hey, put one up in front of my driveway. I'll pay the bill," and CUC will bill the resident account directly the monthly billing. Those are basically the two scenarios. So coming back to DPW, if uh, this 10% that's going to CUC is supposed to do the maintenance, then why is there a maintenance fixture charge? That should already be inclusive. So the goal here for this bill, and I applaud the author and co-authors, um, if there are any, that the bill is intent is admirable, because what we want to do, the department, is to be able to make these funds available to install additional streetlights. It becomes a good funding source for that, but most especially because we're only talking about a small percentage. We're My office is already exploring the possibility to actually install powered streetlights onto these utility poles, so that it's a one-time fee or a cost, and there's no monthly fee, so it saves the taxpayers uh, large sums of money, so that the funds in this account that's allotted to DPW can be utilized to deal with road maintenance and streetlights. It's really difficult for me to balance road maintenance and streetlights. I've actually even extended help to the municipalities of Rota and Tinian. The mayors have requested for assistance, and I've made funds from this as a funding source to the municipalities to help them with roadside maintenance. So the goal here that I've explained to the authors, that uh, it's to be used for installing additional streetlights, but preferably to install solar-powered streetlights, especially in areas that is dimly lit, so that we can light it up for security, for safety. I know the mayor has a good program for crime prevention in the villages, and this is the priority. Should the funds come to this department, that's how I will deploy the funds, so that we can light up more streets. If any one of you have visited Guam recently and have driven down Tumun Bay area, you will notice that the streetlights there are solar powered. Those are the types that we are targeting to install here. It's already proven technology on Guam. It's been installed and operational for over a year already, if not a little more. The system is really resilient. I believe Typhoon Mawar went through Guam, and the streetlights held up. The best part is that the equipment has the battery pack separate from the fixture, so that if the battery were to fail, it's easily swappable. Just have to send up a bucket truck, swap them out, and the system is back online. I haven't heard any negative reports from Guam with regards to the contractor and the product. So this is the target. So if this bill becomes law, this is what the Department of Public Works intends to do. It's not to add on to any other program other than to take more poles online to be lighted with streetlights. And that's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
I don't have a comment to the other bill, so neutral.
Does anyone else in the gallery wish to give their public comments on any items on today's agenda? If not, moving along the order of business, we have nothing on old business. Without further ado, under new business, we have line items bill 2403 to eliminate the 10% distribution to the Commonwealth Utility Corporation and redistribute those funds equally between Bureau of Motor Vehicles and the Department of Public Work to enhance their operational capacities and for other purposes. We also have under new business Senate Bill 24-02 to improve the food security of the CNMI by amending 4 CMC subsection 8182 and 8183 to establish agricultural water usage for commercial farmers, commercial ranchers, and livestock producers, and for other purposes. Any member wants to have any discussion? I recognize our counterpart, Chairman Senator Jude Hofsnyder.
Thank you, Chairman Odon. First off, I appreciate the comments made by the two distinguished gentlemen regarding both bills. I do, with regards to item A, a couple things in my observation. Number one, Mr. Chairman, are we supposed to be expecting a CUC representative to be here today to join us this meeting? Number two is it'll also be as articulated by our good secretary. It is very good to look at the financial printouts or any statistics as far as this pool of funds, this allocation of funds of the current statute, as to how it affects the financial portfolio of CUC with regards to the streetlights. And I wanna recognize the detailed presentation by Secretary Yumu on really educating, reminding us the long arm, the short arm, and the LED and all that. That's because that's important. $50 a month to pay per telephone pole with the lighting times X number of telephone poles, as what was mentioned. Pretty much kind of, you figure that in our budget, as we do deal with the budget every annually. So it'd be good to, for the purpose of being further informed, is to have an accounting of where does that money factoring into now in the CUC's portfolio with regards to this particular legislation. And to the earlier statement, I'm open for support and also for discussion as to what our hardworking mayor is advocating for, some of the fund allocation to address some of the concerns that he's addressing via his programs in the community and his hardworking staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Hofsnyder. Anybody recognize Representative Marissa Flores?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Senator Jude, for those comments. I think in regard to this bill, one of the things that I'd like to see is the actual breakdown of the analysis that was presented by the Secretary, because at some point when it is going to, if we are going to pass this in committee today, at least that would be my request, so that when it gets to the Senate and they will scrutinize the bill, they are given the proper documents to support the action, with my hope that it would pass. But any supporting documents to get this bill passed would be great. When the committee decides to, or when we vote to decide to get this out of committee, I think it's important that any attachments that the DPW secretary had mentioned is included just for reference. And so that is also archived with attachment of the bill. I noticed that there is a percentage here for the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and I cannot express any more than I have that advocating for DPS and BMV falling under public safety, any supports they get right now is important to their stability. If there are going to be any other considerations between the three organizations, including the mayor's office, I think that is a meeting that we can have with the mayor. As we know, there are other funding sources in which we can tap into to provide that support. But I will wholeheartedly support this bill with the inclusion of the cost analysis provided by DPW to be attached to this, but any other modifications or edits that will take away from this, really, sir, would be an injustice to me. I can only speak for myself, but as an advocate for DPS as well, and also to the mayor, I know that there are other funding sources which we can give the mayor 10%, in which he had mentioned during the public comments. And he is right. We need to have more meetings that allow us dialogue for both houses as it relates to the 3rd Senatorial District. But I am in full support of this bill. But any other comments made outside of this as it relates to the distribution of funds, I would save that for the miscellaneous portion, because I've also received new information in regard to CUC and the policies that are engraved with water and power. So if anything, at the very least, Chairman and Senator Jude, the cost analysis be attached, and we can formally request that from the Secretary of Public Works, so that it is attached to this bill should this body decide to pass in committee. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Flores. Anybody else wants to? I recognize Senator Manny Castro.
Thank you, Chairmans Aldon and Hofschneider. Actually, the concept, I want to applaud Secretary Yumo for this concept, and I encourage more of our line departments to follow suit in investing into assets that reduce costs. In my early year as Congressman for Precinct 2, Congressman John Paul and I tried to approach CUC to do exactly what Secretary Yumo was recommending. And in terms of like a lot of the utility poles that are missing a street light, to install a solar unit there. So in case of a natural disaster or a brownout, at least there's backup power. So I think this is the right step. It's a step in the right direction, because although it's going to cost a bit in the beginning, it's going to save us millions of dollars over the years, and that millions of dollars can be invested into other programs. So I support this bill 100%, and just want to say thank you to our mayor and our secretary of DPW for being innovative and thinking outside of the box to reduce costs and improve outcomes. That's exactly what we need in this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Anybody else want to make? I recognize Representative BJ Yato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we, as a joint committee, we can't take actions on these specific bills, but maybe something we can consider as we go back to our respective houses in their respective committees so that we can actually take action on this legislation. More specific to the House side, because the Senate's already passed Senate Bill 24-2. And I'm in full support of that legislation. I think it's a need that we need to move forward with, but also at the same time also promote the industry itself, whether it's agricultural, piggery, types of different types of farming uh, options here in the cinema because of food security. That's one of the biggest things that we've been talking about for the past 15, 20 years is food security, and I think this legislation is one step closer to where we want to be. As for 24-3, House Bill 24-3, I think we definitely need to make an amendment because uh, from the presentation, I thank Secretary Yumo for coming up and making a presentation that talks about the lights in line with what Senator Manny Castro had mentioned. We need to amend it to change this to operation because right now it's only specific to road maintenance, so for shoulder road maintenance. So we need to change the language in that. And if we were gonna help include the mayor, we should also be inclusive of the first and second senatorial districts. So if you look at the original legislation, went from 45% up to 50%, correct? So what we can do is put both at 45% and then use the 10% and distribute it to the three senatorial districts, that remaining 10%, so that we address Rhoda, Tinian, and Saipan. We understand that the bulk of road maintenance here on Saipan at the very least is work from the mayor's office and DPW, and we're really appreciative of that. But we also need to be cognizant of the fact that in the first and second senatorial districts, it's a little bit more different. No? Their DPW is a little bit smaller than ours, so a lot of the manpower is relying on the mayors of their respective municipalities. So I think if we're going to do that, we can go 45, 45, 10, and then distribute the 10 accordingly to the respective mayors. That's something to consider as we deliberate on this specific legislation when we get to our respective committee, so we can get it to the full body. But that'll be one way to address this. I understand that Rep. Marissa is very strong an advocate for DPS, and I'm not against DPS, but 45% is more than zero. And I know it's less than 50%, but if we're inclined to helping the respective mayors of the Sinamay, we can at least cut that so that it doesn't mess up the legislation any more than it is already. So that's just a recommendation. I think if we do that, we can move forward to work on the legislation. And I know that Rep. Marisa Flores also has other legislations that are in JGO right now that will be addressing more assistance to the Department of Public Safety. So with that, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Rep. Bigetto. Anybody else? I recognize Senator Corina Magovna.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, colleagues. Thank you for, Rep. Aldon, thank you for introducing this very important legislation. I do support the mayor's request to to allocate some portion of this, the monies to the mayor, as he is very concerned of the community's safety, as we all should. And so I would concur with Rep. Vijayato that the 10% that we are taking away from CUC should be allocated to the municipalities of all senatorial districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Corina Magovna. And I recognize Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mayor Camacho, for taking your time to come over. And I think this is good and great because working together makes a better solution. And I appreciate my colleagues in the House and the Senate by working together. And I appreciate the things that are brought up with distribution, because if we generalize it, we don't know whether it's gonna, impact the other senatorial. So thank you, Senator Bijato, for bringing that up. And I really appreciate when we work together. There's time that we have to segregate the distribution because for the benefit of all senatorial district. So again, I like when we come together on the table and we work together for the betterment of our people of the Commonwealth. I appreciate. Thank you very much, Chairman.
I recognize Representative Joseph Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, just to, I know we're talking about allocation of percentage for the street lights and everything, and I heard earlier CS said to you that requesting the absence, the presence of CUC personnel involving CUC regarding this street lights with the allocation of 10%. The only thing with this bill that I'm skeptical about is eliminating CUC, the part of the streetlight is we need to ask ourselves, I don't know, mistaken, who owns the telephone pole out there, the street? Because basically all the streetlights are attached to the telephone pole. And if we're eliminating 10% of CUC, and then there comes DPW said, can we repair a streetlight on Beach Road? They said, it's going to cost you $100 because I'm the one that's taking care of it. So we are paying for the maintenance for keeping it the lighting, but who's going to be repairing it and replacing it? That's the cost that we need to look at. So I don't see whether we're gonna it's right to remove it or maybe it's give it to a certain person or make a deal with how we're gonna work out with the installation, because basically all the streetlights are being installed with CUC. DPW is not certified to climb a telephone pole or even touch electrical. And if we're going to go solar, that's will be different. But as for now, everything is under electrical. Eliminating this, it's going to cost more money for us to work with CUC. For even us, even as a private citizen, if we request you to have installation for streetlight for you to be installed, for them to install it, and then you pay $35. All depends on the watt. It's $75 outright for installation of $150. And if that's going to be a case for DPW to have installed, it's going to be that. It could be more. So we need to look out in that avenue how we're going to work out with the installation of this. That's what, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman or Representative Flores. I recognize Senator Magofna.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question. Did we invite CUC to come today so that we can ask some clarifying questions as to how this would impact them?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we didn't get any response.
So just to clarify then, whose responsibility is it to maintain and repair the streetlights?
It's according to this to the law, it is technically supposed to be CUC and also DPW. Because if you look at this law, the original
24, yeah.
law, right, the 9 CMC,
Mm-hmm.
right, 2202, that DPW is supposed to be maintaining, the road, and that is also to include the street light.
So, but when we define maintenance under DPW, what is the definition of maintenance for DPW? Like cleaning around the street light, or actually going up there and repairing the lights that are no longer in working? Like, what is the definition of maintenance under DPW versus CUC?
So, what's it? Can we go on? We go on a recess?
I was just going to do a point of clarification. You got to understand, though, that when the original law was enacted, that CUC was actually under DPW.
Right.
Right. So obviously everything kind of fell under DPW, and when CUC became a corporation, a lot of the laws were never taken out to follow CUC and what stuff that's supposed to be determined for DPW. And I think this legislation over the year, or the existing law over the years, knows they've been obligating DPW to maintain these areas. But I know that CUC does contracts smaller businesses to do the maintenance for like pump stations and like water pump areas, so that
So ground maintenance, like clearing of the.
And that's where the
Confusion.
the confusion is, right? Because the law says DPW But when it comes to, let's say, water pumps in certain private properties, they're obligated to maintain the area entering the water pump area and also cleaning the water pump area.
Okay.
So they're probably using these
The-
monies to
Also,
pay for that. So I was just gonna ask actually the chairman, but we'll go wait until we go off air and
Can-
I'll get to that question.
Yes, I would like to request that we go on a recess.
okay. No
Right.
objection.
Thank you. To the viewing public, we apologize for such a long recess. We're now back. And next item under new business is Senate Bill 24-02 to improve the food security of the Sinamay by amending 4 CMC subsection 8182 and 8183 to establish agricultural water usage rates for commercial farmers, commercial ranchers, and livestock producers, and for other purposes. That being said, I would like to turn it over to our esteemed Senator Hofsnyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, this one is still also going through its motion of in the committee. There are some comments that have been received thus far, and as what was mentioned earlier, this thing is still germane to the Senate, still as it hasn't been passed. But the legislation basically is amending a statute that is already in the books, but the utility corporation never promulgated the necessary rules at the time it was passed into law. So the legislation, if members have a copy of it, it's on page 2. If you can just refer that back. And it's starting on line 12 under subsection 8182. There are some underlining and strikeouts, meaning those are the current law that are being proposed to be removed, and just and then the ones that are underlined are the proposed language. So, say for example, line 13, notwithstanding any law to the contrary, there shall be. Then you striking out the Commonwealth Utility Corporation is hereby authorized to. Now it's there shall be agricultural water rates for commercial farmers, commercial ranchers, and there's a new one. We underlined livestock producers. And then it goes on to subsection 8183, and kind of the same principle applies. So I have yet to receive comments from the entity. I do know that they probably have concerns with this, but just maybe for the purpose of this meeting, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to allow the members of the House also to anticipate this. Should the Senate move forward with this, and as as a proponent of not only just this bill but also just the value of having been self-sustaining in terms of producing our own food. The agriculture products, if produced here, we have a great tax incentive for them now. So if you're a commercial producer, you don't pay tax to the gross revenue to finance until after 20,000 in revenue, which you pay 1%, and then there's a tier structure and so forth. So that's number one. And this is one of the elements that we're also trying to support the operators throughout the CNMI in hopes that God forbid that we're going to experience another big one where the borders are closed and there's no supply chain of food is impeded for X number of time. And this is critical that we make sure that our people are fed, with the needed food, and it's not, a catastrophic event that would allow us to say, hey, we should have done this and that. So it's not a new concept of allowing our people to go out and farm and ranch and all that, but I think there are levels of challenges along the way that that we can make that difference, and this is the reason why I reintroduced this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I would like to recognize Senator Marissa Flores,
Congresswoman,
Congresswoman.
just for the record, don't want to upset anybody here. So I this is a very good bill, but I have two questions, and one may be directly to the senator, Senator Hofschneider, but the other one is more of like a a question because again, we're back to CUC. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we also in the third senatorial district have grazers, have uh, commercial farmers and what have you, ranchers. I have yet to see the map of where this is, but majority what I'm talking about is those in San Juan that graze livestock. Okay. Now, I know for a fact between Monday and Friday, they're hauling water right after work to go and make their livestock drink. On the weekend, they're up at the crack of dawn, filling their water, going out, the same way as you would pass in Tini and in some of the ranchers' areas, their farms where you have their little water holding tank for them to retrieve water to, you know, complete their task for the day and save their cows. But I'm just wondering, are there any pipes down there, okay, for the third senatorial district, for all of those grazers that graze in San Juan currently? Do we know that, Chairman? Can you answer that for me?
And I stand corrected, but I've seen them because I've, if I'm here in the weekends, I frequent that for other
Mm,
hobbies. But it's right up the hill on Asmatuis,
mhm,
the one past at La Fiesta.
mhm,
So the top of the hill, Asmatuis, it's like there's a water tank there. I think there's a 1 million gallon
mhm,
tank. That's where I see sometimes I see our folks.
mhm.
I'm assuming that it's for their ranch because
assuming.
they have that water cistern also with a trailer,
Mhm.
and then they head up north.
Right.
So to answer your question, that there is such.
So there is access straight in, but because when you're going back Catabetta Cave, right, there's farmland there where folks graze cows.
Mhm.
There, I'm trying to figure out now, is there a CUC pipe that connects and makes it closer for them to access the water? No.
The short answer is no. I don't see it.
Okay. So then that's my question, right? Now, I get the intent of the bill, it's great. But I think moving forward, Senator Jude, if you could also ask and our chairman here for PUTC and infrastructure and development, find that line, because if we're going to do this already, right, the injustice is people that have access to this pipe that's already there, okay, are at that rate already, right? Once we do this, it's going to be established. But for those that we haven't even found if there's a pipe in the third senatorial district where they farm, if we're going to do this holistically, then let's do it holistically for all senatorial districts, right? I mean, that's why we're here. That's my first request. My second question, Senator Jude, if you could indulge me on page 2, line 12, subsection 8182, you do have the underline, notwithstanding any law to the contrary, there shall, which is that underline. And then you have an underline on line 15, and livestock producers. After that, it reads at the rate of 25 cents per 1,000 US gallons of water in areas where there is 24-hour water available, or a flat rate of $25 per month in areas where 24-hour water is not available. Okay. And then you have on line 19, again, the underline for livestock producers. But on line 22, subsection 8183, rules and regulations, it reads the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation shall promulgate rules and regulations necessary to implement the provision of this act and establish the agricultural water usage rate pursuant to 4 CMC 8182 within 90 days after the effective act of this date. So you have 25 cents. Is that current? Because it's not underlined. You're establishing the rate already in that language.
Chair, good question. That is the law right now, but whether that is being implemented, as I stated earlier, it's not. So if your question for unavailable 24-hour, 25 cents per month, no, per 1,000 gallon, where there is available, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So it's in the statute already. Now the proposal is to kind of put more define when can they're supposed to take action, because although this thing is a law, it's kind of an open-ended, and CUC refused to promulgate those rules. That's why we're here again today to propose this. No, and I think it's timely that we all think of some things like this, because again, you never know, and I some, and it's not me per se, but I see some of the constituents that have been asking for this for years. Like, they go, Senator or Congressman, I have a farm in my private land and I need to water them, but I cannot afford the rate right now. So we have to listen to them. So if we're successful and we dial in on this, we're helping those folks. And there's quite a few of them that are, even especially in Saipan, and I think in Rhoda more so. There's a lot of private landowners that are operating on their lots, and they do require, especially in the dry season, thousands of gallons of water. But at the same time, there's also a lot of programs from USDA and RCS, by way of SWCD, to apply for water catchment. So those are all elements, that's programs that are out already.
Right.
But now we need to do the fundamental responsibility that
And I'm
we-
not against
No,
the
it's fine,
bill,
but
but
it's
thank you
good.
for clarifying that, because I also have a obligation to also discuss how this would affect everybody. But I'm also concerned with the inactivity of CUC's promulgation of rules and what have you. But I know that there are grazers also in the third senatorial district without that water, right? And we have to state this openly so that we speak about everybody. And if we're going to do this to fix it, I applaud the bill. And that's great, because if not now, then when, right? But at some point, like yesterday I said, enough is enough. It's either we fix it or we continue to be going in circles. And we're almost at 50 years of being a infant commonwealth. I definitely don't want to have 50 years of going in circles. If we can fix it now, let's fix it. But please, can you find out, Chairman, for me, what the situation is for the third senatorial district on the other side of the north side of the island, as they graze also? If we could just find that water, right, and we can also have them, know where that is, and because we don't know where that is. But if they can avail for this, then that's great too. We just need to have it accessible, right? Thank you. I yield my time.
And before Chairman, and I want to, like, always go back to this. Forgive my preaching sometimes, but just a couple of weeks ago we were talking an exorbitant price for a dozen of eggs. As a matter of fact, some restaurants, they say, "Oh, we used to cook 2 eggs for you. Now it's only one because of the price." And no joke, this is true. So think about this. Poultry operations here in Saipan, or Rhoda for that matter. They're going to be requiring a potentially substantial amount of water. And if that is the overhead for their operations, then we cannot really compete with the importation. No? So we're talking about just the value of getting it over because of transportation costs. But what about the health aspect of it, which is, I think, it's more near and grave. And we can do it. We can help our people to produce our own food supply chain for the CNMI. We don't have to supplant the importation, but we can definitely supplement some of the stuff that we consume. Thank you, Chair. You.
Thank you, Senator. And I recognize Representative Manny Castro.
And I just wanted to applaud Rep. Marissa for bringing up the concern about water supply in the Calavera area. There's a lot of water there, but it's underground. And in fact, there's old Japanese wells in that area. So I just asked, our Precinct 4 reps if we can look into appropriating money for a water well that maybe would help the farmers. And we really got to look at this bill not just as a bill for the farmers, but as a bill for the economy, because GDP is just not about exports, it's also about reducing your imports. And at one point in time, we had, eggs were not an issue. You had Mr. Torres doing the poultry production there in Cagman, and all those abandoned Quonset style structures used to have, eggs, and you couldn't even tell that they were locally sourced because it really looked like a quality commercial production of eggs. And so, what's the root cause of why people are not getting into an industry is, it can be things such as the infrastructure is not there, the rates are not fair, and not just for the local producers, but also we have to start thinking about right now with the tariff situation, we really have to put some money into the infrastructure so that investment can happen, not just for tourism, but for manufacturing, for food security. The military is building up in this area, and let's leverage all that activity. But if we don't fix our infrastructure, then we're not going to get the results, the economic results, right? So although it may not seem like this bill is, there's additional qualities that they're going to help improve our quality of life. So I thank both authors for the previous bill and this bill as well. Sometimes, like just walking through the pathway from CK, thank you DPW and all the government agencies that finished that project. But the sidewalk from Chalancanoa to Mobile Gas Station in Middle Road, it was a nice walk. It took several hours, but one thing I could say we could utilize is some solar pathway lights, just like what was done in Cagman. So thank you to the representatives of Precinct 5 for lighting up that pathway. But it's going to be beautiful, like, once all of this is done. But in addition to the federal infrastructure, we also have to use some of that local infrastructure to improve the, those facilities. So thank you again.
Thank you, Senator Castro. I recognize Senator Magofna.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Hofschneider, I support the intent of the bill. I think it's very admirable that we're looking out for our agriculture and farmers. And so I just have some clarifying questions. If we go to page 2, under section 8182, I just wanted to clarify. So I believe in an earlier statement, it was the present rate is 25 cents per 1,000 gallon. Is that what the existing rate is? Or $25 flat per month if the water is inaccessible 24 hours? Is that what the present rate is showing for CUC?
Yeah, and thank you for that question, Chair. It does included in the Public Law 13-40.
Okay.
And yeah, and Council, this one came from the, just so make sure that legally, this one came straight from that statute, no?
Okay.
So whether or not it's being deployed, that is something that CUC needs to respond to, no?
Okay. And so then, geez, I lost my train of thought. So we're not proposing in this legislation. It's not being proposed to reduce the rate, right? Because if you read the introduction, right, it says to improve the food security of the CNMI by amending those sections 818, 2 and 3 to establish an agricultural water usage rate. So we're not really establishing a rate because there's already an established rate of 25 cents per 1,000 gallon for 24-hour access, and then $25 flat fee for non 24 hours, right? So we're not really establishing an agricultural rate. There's a rate already established,
Correct.
just to clarify.
Yeah, we can make that addendum. But again, the law is, I do know that it has not been
Right, so it hasn't been
implemented. So
promulgated, okay.
yeah,
And how old is that law? Like what?
1340, that's 13th
So-
legislature. We're at 20, what, 24, 23? 24. So
Okay. I mean, I don't understand why it's a law and we're leaving it up to the entity to decide whether or not they want to promulgate or not. It's the law. If you're not promulgating, you're violating. And if you're violating, then what are the consequences? And apparently, that seems to be the theme, the trend in some government agencies, but we really need to start holding them accountable, and there has to be some consequences for these violations of laws. What is the point of creating all these laws if violations are going to be committed and nothing happens, right? So I think it's time that we start holding people accountable. Second, I think under section 8183, it talks about CUC shall promulgate rules and regulations necessary to implement the provisions of this act and establish the agricultural water usage rate pursuant to 4 CMC section 8182. So I just want to clarify because it talks about CUC establishing the rate, but I believe it's PUC that sets and approves the rate. So we might want to clean this up just to be sure the CUC is not the body that's going to set the rates or establish those rates. So those are just my two comments for the bill. But thank you for introducing this. I believe the farmers and the ranchers would greatly appreciate this. And if CUC is not promulgating an existing law from the 13th legislature, then we need to do something about it. So perhaps maybe another oversight on CUC to address that problem. Thank you.
si Jusmas si Senator Angofnia. And if there's no objection from the members, as chairman, I see Council Villagomez is raising her hand. Go ahead, Council.
Yes, Chair. I just wanted to clarify that there is no established rate yet. The original law gave CUC the authorization to establish. So they're authorized to establish it today. They've opted not to establish the rates. So this bill amends the original law and is attempting to establish the rate through legislation and then request or mandate CUC to promulgate the regulations for it. So I just wanted to clarify that there's no established rates at this time.
Thank you.
So in this bill, then we are proposing to use
Establish
this
the rates
rate.
through legislation.
So can I just ask then, how do we arrive to the 25 cents per 1,000 gallon? I mean, what cost analysis was done to ensure that, we are not impacting CUC greatly, by imposing this? What's the current rate right now?
Sorry, I don't have any numbers. I
Okay.
don't know what the numbers are.
And again, I do support the bill, but if I don't know what the current rate is right now, but it sounds like maybe we're reducing it to accommodate the farmers and ranchers, right? But if, let's say, for example, the current rate is 30 cents per, 30, the rate is 30 cents and we're reducing it to 25 cents, right? Obviously, there's the reduction there. And so where would the subsidy be coming from? Is this something that the government would be subsidizing? Because it has to come from somewhere. Whenever you take money away from one side of the equation, there's an impact to the other side. So I just want to clarify
Sure.
where the subsidy will come from.
Certainly, and those are, thank you, Council, and thank you, Chair Magofnia, for those questions. And definitely, I believe, and I have, and again, we definitely need interaction with our utility agency, because I know that particular comment is going to come out, who's going to burden the cost. So at this juncture right now, based on my information and based on my observation and what I know is it's the rate that we're charging. So if you have your own cistern or a drop line of water for your ranch or for your farm, they're charging you a residential rate or commercial rate of some sort. So that's already established. Now, as clarified by the council, since this was never adopted in the form of a regulation or promulgated, um, so it's still that what I mentioned earlier about the rates. Um, this legislation would, if it stands at face value right now, it's going to actually create its own 25 cents to $1,000 in the with the absence of a 90-day promulgation of rules. The law will prevails, no. And I appreciate the conversation on including PUTC. And as a matter of fact, I'll do it because it's still in the Senate. There's a comment that came in from the PUTC, the gentleman that was here earlier, and when I will share with the members, and as we navigate through this. So yeah, these are good discussions.
Yes.
And I appreciate the interaction.
Yes, I believe it was Dr. John Angelo that just submitted his
Yes,
comment.
yes.
On the face of it, I don't think the PUC is in support of the legislation, which is fine. This is why we need to bring them in
Yes.
and have that dialogue so we can better understand what is the reservation about it. But I also remember CUC talking in one of their board meetings that their utility, the cost of rates, the study, right, that's supposed to break down how much is it really costing CUC to provide these services, was due back in March, I believe, is what I remember. But if not, this is a great time to ask them what their findings are, and so that we can properly determine what the rate should be for the rent for this particular legislation, so that we can also make sure that we are not adding more burden to CUC. And if we want to continue with these rates, then we need to find the funding source to subsidize it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Duly noted. I see Senator Castro. Recognized, sir.
Thank you. I keep hearing CUC, right, and the concern for CUC, and no offense to that concern, but I think the real thing we should also look at is the economy and how people are struggling. So if CUC couldn't implement this law since the 13th legislature, maybe we should give the funding to DLNR to, drill a well where the farmers are at and make it happen. And in regards to consequence, these two bills are a consequence of a department not following through with their mandate. And I thank you, Chairman Audon, for introducing your bill, and Chairman Hofschneider. But, I'm tired of hearing all these feasibility studies, because it's pretty much common sense. Even American Samoa benefited from all the CNMI's feasibility studies, and they actually implemented all those studies. Thank you to the CNMI taxpayers and Uncle Sam. So now in American Samoa, they're benefiting from studies that were done here in the CNMI. We had a Recycling Act of 1999 that was introduced by my grandfather, and DEQ never implemented that law. But Palau recently introduced that same law, and it's doing well for them. The 555 program is working right now with recycling all these cans, and it's like the data is right there in front of our face, and we need to use it and make a decision. And I think we should, what I like about the Republic of Palau is they stop putting in those a lot of their bills. They just spell out the process. They stop giving it up to the department to promulgate the rules, because the department never promulgates the rules. And in essence, that's why our commodities are so expensive, is because some of those laws that were supposed to help our people were never implemented. And we're back to square one. So, let's streamline some of this, because, for example, that recycling bill, it's already been 3 years that we've been trying to push that, and we're waiting for someone to comment, and it's an actual law. The studies have already been done. And in fact, the studies that were done in 1999 were so advanced that 50, almost all 50 states implemented that study. And the CNMI is still 30 years behind. So, sorry, I got a little passionate there, but thank you, colleagues. Please let's move some of this and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Castro, for those comments. FY, now we'll move forward from it. I'll use back my time, Mr. Chairman. Hold on. Just so you know that the Kangman farm plots, they have their own water well, no, or pipe going through there. So, yeah, we need to revisit what kind of arrangement with that. So, I like that idea of let's explore the possibility of allowing other entity to provide this service. But again, we need to address those private landowners that are just farming on their backyard, because many of our people know that have a substantial amount of land area that they can afford to do plots and farms. So yeah, thank you, and I'll you're good, Senator Cruz. Would you like to?
Sir, both chairman, I'm ready to vote.
Thank you, Senator.
Right. With what do you call that? Where is that? So with under new business, we had discussions on House Bill 24-3 and Senate Bill 24-02. Any more discussions on that? No further discussion. Next item on the agenda, we have miscellaneous. Any member want to have anything under miscellaneous? I recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Actually, Chairman, I know that right before we adopted the agenda, Senator Jude requested that he also want to share something on miscellaneous. So I yield my time to him if he'd like to go first.
Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Chairman, since we're having this jointly, I do want to, as many of you know, the PUTC in the Senate, we did an informational hearing on power generation with CUC a few weeks back, and as a result of that, the president had tasked the committee to engage further for a possible return meeting, whether it's another informational hearing or possible oversight. So I've yet to cross that. But I also want to highlight one of the elements of the presentation by their consultant with regards to the alternative energy proposal and all that. And one of the line of questionings that came about from the committee is with regards to the power requirements or the megawatt requirements for Rhoda and Tinian. And under the current law right now, with our power rates, that's supposed to be 40%. Is that corrected? 40% supposed to be renewable energy, and the 60% is the typical fossil fuel. And if you look at both Rhoda and Tinian, respectively, it's all of about maybe 15 megawatt requirement. That's kind of like a very conservative number, or maybe it's a little bit lower than that. So as a result of that revelation and guidance, I produced a letter to the executive director on April 11 to kind of get a request as to how far has CUC done as far as the RFP for the two senatorial districts, simply because I think in a perfect scenario, in a perfect presentation, we can actually be 100% renewable right now. We don't really necessarily need another side and separate to them, Mr. Chairman. But yeah, because the bottom line is as we wait and they wait, and the people can no longer afford. Um, you know, it's coming to a point where they're already choosing what to pay, whether their medicine or the power. And I've heard this numerous times, and I finally heard it on record during the hearing. So I have a letter here that I'm still waiting for the executive director to respond to my office as the PUTC chair. And it's just something that I think we can tag team, as legislative members. In addition to what you've been championing already, and some of us in here, let's also profess to kind of push the issue, because there's a lot of uh, respondents. All they need to do is RFP it out. There's a lot of experts out there with a multiple knowledge, and even the financial capabilities and financial strategies that can actually build it for us. Basically, we just need to, make sure that everything checks out with the conditions. But we have to pass a. We need to have a renewable energy solution right quick yesterday, and I cannot overemphasize the need to let's call on CUC to do it already. RFP it out. For Rhoda, RFP it out for Tinian. Then we can figure out the rest of the elements. Because believe me, when we pass and it's then we lower the cost for the consumers, they're gonna be happy. Right now what we hear is the cost, the high cost. Thank you, Chair. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Chairman Hofsnyder. I recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. And since we are on the topic of CUC, I would be remiss to not discuss an event that happened in the 3rd Senatorial District concerning a constituent from my village, from my precinct. And I'll read parts of the letter if I may, Chairman. Half a day, Representative Flores. I'm writing to express my deep frustration and growing concern with the Commonwealth Utilities Corporation. As a recipient of the NMHC CDBGR grant, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to become a homeowner, a dream that has come within reach thanks to this program. Unfortunately, that dream has come to a complete standstill due to what I can only describe as gross inefficiency and neglect on the part of CUC. While CUC appears to have no issue disconnecting services with remarkable speed when payments are missed, the same urgency is sorely lacking when it comes to actually supporting residents. My family submitted full payment for the utility connection almost 2 months ago, and since then I have been persistently following up, only to be met with vague answers or complete silence. No one seems to be capable of providing a clear update or timeline. Our home is 95% complete. The only thing preventing us from moving is the lack of utility connection. Every passing day puts our investment at risk. New cabinetry and closets are left vulnerable to moisture and possible mold buildup due to the stagnant air. This is more than an inconvenience. It is disheartening and avoidable obstruction that is undermining the purpose of the housing grant. Now, last week I attended the commission meeting in which another constituent from Precinct 3, but this time a business, and we're free to talk about it because it was in the media, and Agape School, which is a school, was charged almost 21,000 for hookup for, I believe, water, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chairman, sewage, 21,000, right? Okay. So this particular this private residence, okay, is now being charged $9,000, which DPW secretary had claimed that a telephone pole or a utility pole is $9,000. That's correct and accurate in their, I'm sorry, what they call estimate, because this is not even a letter. Okay. And then on top of that, they use a CUC base cost. I don't know what that is. Once again, going back to the lack of information that CUC continues to display when it comes down to breaking down what they're charging as far as services. Now, the draft that you had that was presented to us at this meeting showed us an entire breakdown draft. Okay, now that's a total of $3,000 some dollars in this estimate. The CUC receipt in which my constituent in my precinct paid to CUC is totaled $6,385.64. Oh, well, let me just express what date this was. This was 3/18, April of 2025. The estimate was in October 9 of 2024. The water and wastewater application was dated July 12 of 2024. On top of that, they're going to charge another $2,000. We're talking about breaking roads. What a beautiful road we have, only for it to get broken down. This house was built on federal funds. I don't understand why they approved. Well, obviously I understand why they're approved, but where were all the permits prior to them digging? Okay, now this couple or this individual has to fork out almost $9,000. The house is done. Furnitures and fixtures are in there, and they've been waiting with no answer. Now, forgive me if I sound a little irate or frustrated. I am frustrated when it greatly affects the people. I'm not sure what this committee can do, but if it's going to be another joint meeting, which I hope is soon, maybe an oversight should be done on all the CDBGR grants and houses that were built and how many are still waiting for CUC to provide the hookup. Because it is gross. Where do we go off taking people's money and it's still sitting in their, I'm sorry, what an interest-bearing account? Okay. Sitting there for how long, and they still haven't answered back to this constituent. I'm disappointed. I feel sorry for the families that continue to wait for CUC, and I can no longer. I'm going to relinquish this evidence to the commission so that the commission now can get CUC, because if we're going to have to wait again for any of them to respond, we're doing an injustice to our people. Especially, I'm going to be greatly affected because this person is from my district, my voting district. I have an obligation to protect those in my district. So please, if you could somehow expedite, get them together and bring them in, I would be most grateful to this joint committee. Thank you so much. I yield my time.
Thank you, Rep. Merced. Any would like to recognize Senator Magofna?
I know that it's already past noon, but so I just want to take this opportunity to let my colleagues know, both from the House and the Senate, that we are on the topic of CUC almost all the time. But I wanted to share that I pre-filed a proposed legislation to deregulate CUC, as CUC is currently the only entity right now authorized by law to provide utility services to the entire CNMI. So I feel that if we deregulate them and open the market to other utility companies to come into the CNMI and offer similar services, it doesn't have to be diesel, it could be renewable energy, whatever those services are. I think that will open up the competition for healthy competition, and whenever we have healthy competition, there's the prices drops, right? And this will be very beneficial, not just for our residential customers, but also for the government and for the commercial customers. So I am hoping that I can get the support from both the House and the Senate so that we can open this market up, right, and stop the monopoly. This is what the problem is. Whenever we have a monopoly, that entity or that business tends to have the only say on how things should be run. So we've always been talking about, PPP, right? Privatizing CUC. Well, those opportunities have come and gone so many times, right? And I don't know what the issue is. I know CUC has already come out publicly and said that they're now entertaining the PPP concept, right? But we're still not seeing it. There's supposed to be an RFP that was supposed to go out, but it was only for a small percentage of renewable energy. And what we need right now, our economy is dying. Our businesses are closing. Our residents are suffering tremendously, right? And what is an economy without our business community? What is a government without the businesses paying into the tax-based system to fund our operations and the programs and services that we do provide to our community? So, let's stop the monopoly, let's open up the market, and let the market set the prices of what is right. And hopefully CUC can provide the quality service that they say they do, right? 24/7 um, electric and water. And not to mention, our water is still not drinkable at this point, right? But when we open up the market and we have other reputable companies come in and actually do what they say they're going to do, and they actually know what they're doing, then maybe, just maybe, our people and our business community can live a better and more quality life, and our community and our economy can once again thrive and prosper. So, my colleagues, Senate and House, I humbly ask for your support on this legislation. I would hope that the chairman will conduct public hearing on this particular legislation, but I do see the benefits of it. And I hope that I can get the support from both the House and the Senate so that we can start improving the quality of service that our people deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. Recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Chairman. Non-debatable. But at this point, we've also said that the system is flawed. The system's been flawed since 94-3, when we had a lot of money coming in and we inflated this government and we made our government bigger when the boom was great. Now that the boom is gone, we have an overinflated government with not enough resources and an economic crash at this point. A recession is coming very soon. But let's remember that CUC board of directors is a non-constitutional board. At this point, we need to figure out whether we abolish that board and just have, because now we have the commission, there really is no need, Chairman, for a CUC board, because the board was enacted because there was no commission at the time. But now that the commission is in full force, now we can dissolve that board. That's a non-constitutional mandated board. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Representative Marissa Flores. I recognize Representative Manny Question.
Just shift to third gear. I just want to say thank you to the chairman for having us meet with a lot of people from CUC, especially CEO Watson, for giving us a tour of the power plant, the sewer treatment plant, and other areas within the water and the lab. And when I look at a lot of these issues and trends, it all comes down to like management and making informed decisions and doing the research and implementing. So I just want to give a shout out to the hardworking linemen, hardworking personnel at the power plant, the hardworking machinists that have to machine parts that no longer exist in the market, because they're doing amazing work. However, in line with what was mentioned by Rep. Marissa and Senator Karina, I think we also need to look at the structure of the organization and really ask ourselves and do the thorough research. Is CUC better as one department, or maybe we should look into separating these water, power, and wastewater? Because I think every division has a solid champion and good decisions are made when we have people that are very experienced in that unit, that don't have to wait for a consultant. They know the challenges from the front line to what's happening in the world. So I just wanted to bring that out for some thorough discussion and thought, and look forward to engaging with our committee chairman about this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Any other comments on miscellaneous? Ready? All right. Can I just make one? I just want to say something in this. Right. I want to make this clear, to the public that yes, we definitely do have a major issue with CUC, and it's not just on a residential level, but also on a business level, which technically pretty much affect the government coffers. And as long as the one of the major government institution is being managed in a way that is not beneficial to the community it's supposed to serve, it will never benefit anybody in the long run. And at the same time, CUC has been ordered, and according to the law, right, that CUC should have been at least 30% renewable by 2016. Never happened. Studies after studies since 2000, I don't know when, over 10 years of studies have been conducted, not only locally, but also by the federal. And there's a lot of studies that were done that were good. It could be executed. But for whatever reason, CUC decides not to play ball. When you hire professionals from the outside to make recommendations and to do field studies and office studies and I don't know what kind of studies, cracking the atom studies for all I care, they just seem to be non-cooperative. I think it is more than high time that CUC has been dissolved and be turned into a public corporation or a private entity, because I'm pretty sure, anybody that runs a business, you're in there to make a profit, but at the same time, you're there to make sure that everything you want to spend less, but make more, but not at the expense of your customers, or else the whole thing will fall apart, right? And on another note, when it comes to renewable energy for residential or commercial, CUC has no jurisdiction after the meter. With today's technology, when you use an inverter, you could choose to ensure that your inverter does not give any power back to the grid. I, for one, am one of those. I run up completely 100% off grid. I do not give CUC any power. Although I'm still connected to CUC, I give it zero. I would rather dump it into the ground and just throw it out the window than give it to CUC. Why would I give somebody something at the same time it's doing a lot of disservice instead of a lot of good services? So to the public at hand, I gotta make you understand that technology is there and it is affordable, for you to run your own place. Because believe me, I, for one, as an example, it feels good when I receive my CUC power bill and I only have to pay $1. It feels great. Now I don't have to pay $200 or $300, and that's money in my pocket that I could spend somewhere else, other to a dysfunctional utility. So do not be afraid when CUC tells you that you can't do this and you can't do that. CUC's jurisdiction ends at the meter, not after. You own your own house, you own your own building. So long as you follow the regulations on the National Electric Code and the National Fire Protection Code, you'll be fine. Okay? So CUC's lack of movement should not prevent you from moving on your own. CUC has a lot of problems. There is a solution. And sometimes you have to take matters into your own hands. That's all I got to say about that. Now that we're any other miscellaneous? None? Next item, can I get a motion for adjournment? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All who oppose, say nay. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you.